Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be. Hopefully you're having an amazing time. I just want to thank you for being here today. I really appreciate all of you checking out my content and taking your time to watch my channel and my videos. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Kyan, I'm 20 years old, and this season I reached Master Elo in League of Legends and I peaked at 111 OP with a 58% win rate. In today's video I'm going to be talking about my climb from bronze to silver, which might be a little bit different than my master experience and my diamond games, but a couple weeks ago I decided to buy an account, a bronze 4 account, and actually try and climb out of it in the most effective way possible. I was really tryharding to get silver as fast as possible, and then just tell me about my experience to you. I just want to tell you about my experience from my climb, because I know that a lot of people who check my videos, who watch my videos, are actually bronze and silver elo, so I just want to share my thoughts with you on how to climb out of those elos. So first of all, let me put some screenshots on the screen so that you can see how my climb went and what you can actually expect from, if you're really focusing on your games, what you can expect from a climb. So you can see that I won it took me about 18 games to climb from bronze 4 to silver 4, right? And I think I only lost 2, you're going to see that on the screen, I'm not quite sure anymore, but I think I only lost 2. So you could say that my climb went decently well. Of course, I also lost 2 games, so that's maybe something that can help you in a mentality change. So you could say like, alright, even a master player that peaked 111 OP couldn't get a 100% win rate and couldn't climb through bronze without losing a single game, or without losing 2 games in my case. So maybe that can help you. But in this video I'm mainly going to talk about some things that I noticed because I was paying attention to the mistakes that my teammates made and the opponents made during the games, to show you guys, or to give you guys the tips to climb out of these elos. So normally these videos are scripted that I do, but I really didn't feel like making a scripted video right now and type an entire text. So I thought, let's just do it free, without speech, without the script, you know. So I'm just going to go over some key points that I mentioned. I put them in a Word document and I'm just going to go over each one of them. So first of all, this might be an interesting statistic, but the average CS from all of my games, over my entire climb from bronze to silver, my average CS score per minute was 7 CS. Of course, I played some support games, I feel like. I'm not quite sure, but if I did, I'm sure that I will take these games out of it, and we're just going to talk about the games that I played mid lane or top lane, whatever, and I'm going to take the average of those games. So when I'm not playing support, my average CS was 7 CS per minute, which is actually not that great. If you're maybe a platinum player or diamond player, or maybe you're even higher, you'll notice that in a lot of games people have like 9 CS, 10 CS per minute, maybe 8 CS per minute, but everything below that is really not that great. And I actually, during my bronze climb, only got 7 CS per minute, which shows you that there's a great opportunity there. Because I noticed that I was outfarming everyone in my games, or almost every time I was outfarming everyone, and I only had 7 CS per minute, which is actually astonishing. This shows you that if you focus on farm and you get maybe 9 CS per minute, you will basically carry every single game, because you get yourself a lot more gold and a lot more XP than the enemy does, because they're probably, all of them are just ARAMing it down. What I noticed is that people really tend to group up, they really like to group, and they don't really feel secure in the side lane, and that really costs them a lot of solo XP and gold. So maybe that's something you can focus on your farm. You could do that by side laning more and grouping less with your team. Now, something else that I noticed is that I had a lot of kill participation in this elo. So in my main elo, I noticed that a lot of the time I really go hard on farming. I really focus on like getting 10 CS per minute, and that doesn't really allow me to get like a lot of kill participation. Of course, you should strive for that, but it doesn't always work out that way. But in this elo, I really got a lot of kill participation, which shows that even though I had 7 CS per minute and I was basically out farming everyone in the game, I still was doing a lot of stuff on the map. I was involved in a lot of team fights, a lot of objective fights, and I basically did that by just going to a side lane after the laning phase is done. I just went to a side lane, farmed, and after I pushed the entire lane, so I pushed the minutes to the turret, instead of taking the turret, definitely when I'm not on a champion that's good at pushing, I would just group with my team and then pick a fight after I push the wave. So that's a way how you can like maintain good CS and a lot of kill participation. Alright, the next thing that I noticed is that in 99% of my games I had to snowball from laning phase, or like I didn't really have to, but I just did. So that means that, what I mean with that is that it's not like I really played safe in laning phase and then I really had to find ways to carry my games. No, it's just that I got so fat in the laning stages of the game. I got like 5-0, 7-0, maybe 4-0, whatever. But I got so fat during the laning phase that it was almost impossible to lose. If you're playing something like an Annie or a Vladimir or LeBlanc and you get like 5 kills in laning phase, you can basically run it down and just like don't really focus on the game, and everyone you see, every squishy target that walks towards you, you can just one-shot them basically, right? So I got so fat on the laning phase, so what I would suggest is that if you notice that you're lacking in the laning phase, look up some videos on YouTube to really make sure that your laning phase is on point, because I feel like the biggest parts, and this is not only for bronze, but in the entire lower elo bracket, I'd say, it was really beneficial to focus on laning phase, because people make so many mistakes in the lane. They tend to overextend for CS, they tend to just randomly point and click somewhere where they shouldn't be walking. So yeah, you should abuse these mistakes and just focus on the laning phase and you will climb. Also, another thing that I noticed is that I play team fights and skirmishes really patiently, really slow. Because in this elo, people tend to they flash immediately, they use their abilities immediately, and like huge team fights or like dragon or baron fights, you can see that your team will immediately flash and use their entire kits on the enemy team without really having a good angle to engage. And if you're just sparing your abilities, you're just playing it safe, you're assessing the situation and you're looking for targets that you possibly want to one-shot or you want to target in the fight, you just play it slowly and patiently, you will play these team fights and skirmishes a lot better than you would just rush things, right? And there are a lot of team fights and skirmishes in this elo, so it's really good for you to also learn how to play these skirmishes and team fights, and I would just recommend just play it slowly. Everything you would do, just wait a little bit with it. Just play it slowly, assess the situation, there's no need to rush everything. It might feel like you have to rush things because everything is going so fast, but most of the time that's actually going to ruin the fight, and you just have to take it slowly, you just have to take it patiently. For example, if you're playing Corki and there's a dragon fight, don't just immediately go to the dragon and immediately rush your package on the Drake. No, just keep it safe. Look if you can do something else with your team, if you can just poke them down. And then if it's necessary, you can still use your package if you have a good angle on it. Alright, so that's really a huge tip as well. Alright, so another thing that I noticed is that you don't really have to force anything in this elo. This ties in a little bit with my with the previous point, but I mean, you don't really have to force anything. Like for example in laning phase, like I said, you should really focus on laning phase and getting ahead, getting yourself 5-0. But the thing is, I didn't really proactively think on getting myself ahead in the laning phase, because I knew I would be able to carry team fights as well because of my macro knowledge and stuff like that. But it just happened. Every laning phase I played, I was almost every time fed. Not in all of them, but in 99% of them I was fed, and I didn't really focus on it. All I was doing is was waiting for the enemy to make mistakes, and this is what you should be doing as well. So if you're playing Annie and you have your 4th stack up so you can stun someone, don't immediately use it, just wait it. The enemy will at some point in time will overextend and you will get a kill, and you don't have to do anything for it, you just have to press your buttons. Alright, so that's what I mean with not having to force anything. You can just wait for the enemy team to make mistakes, because at some point they're just going to overextend, you're going to be able to kill them, or your jungler is going to gank because they are overextending and stuff like that. Alright, that's almost the end of the video. There's still one thing I want to mention. This might be a little bit more of an advanced concept for high elos, but I noticed that it gave me a lot of benefit to already do this in this elo, and that's playing around vision. So this is not necessarily climb out of bronze, but I like to play assassin type champions, and of course with assassin type champions it's amazing to just stand in a brush where people have no visions, wait until the enemy ADC walks up to you, and you can just one-shot them because they don't see you, they don't anticipate it, they can't flash in time and stuff like that. So playing around vision, of course, definitely when you're playing assassin type champions, is amazing. And in this elo, people don't really put wards, they don't really buy sweepers, oracle lenses to clear the vision, they don't really buy pink wards enough, so they don't really have a lot of vision. And if you combine that, so if you combine the fact that the enemy team doesn't really put out enough visions, they use enough ward, they don't use enough ward and stuff like that, if you combine that fact with yourself being good with buying a lot of pink wards, buying a sweeper, denying the enemy team the small amount of vision that they do have, then you will actually be able to really have fun with assassins like Zed, LeBlanc, Talon, Echo, because they don't really have enough vision. And if you deny the small amount of vision that they do have, you can basically, the entire map, all the jungle spots where they have brushes and stuff like that, is just one big playground for you to pick off enemy champions. Alright, so these are the things that I mainly notice in my climb. I know it's not a lot, but yeah, there's not really much to it. I feel like in bronze elo and silver elo, there's not really much that you should be improving on. I feel like all these things that I just mentioned, you can just pick out like one out of it, you can improve on it, and you will climb out of bronze. For example, the first thing I said was talking about your CS. If you focus on CS, you'll probably climb out of bronze. All my other tips that I told you, or the things that I experienced in my climb, are not really necessary to climb, because if you just focus on CS, you will climb. The same goes for the second thing I told you, the third thing. So if you just focus on one of these things, I'm sure that you will already be able to climb out of bronze. Of course, if you play enough games. Hopefully this helped you in some way. I really think it will. If you really listen to what I said, if you really implement it in your game, if you do focus on farming or make sure that you can snowball in laning phase, you can just watch some videos on YouTube to see how you can improve on laning phase, because that's just a little bit too much to show you in this video. So yeah, I'm sure that you will climb to silver and higher elos if you implement what I just told you. Well, I really enjoyed this video, hopefully you did as well. I told you that I would make it as enjoyable as possible. Hopefully that worked out the way that I told you. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.